grid goes down and they can't get it back. An EMP attack takes a while to recover from. In fact, it'll actually reset things. So when it comes back up and it starts working again months later, you'll likely have $0 in your bank account. Why? Because they'll say, well, you know, we can't do anything about it. The attack brought everything to zero. We have no documentation since everything's electronic of what you had in your bank account. And thus they can roll in a great reset and a universal income. Okay? That's why it's really important to be prepared for this. Now you might say, Carl, tell me how to be prepared. Well, all I can tell you is to research EMP on your own. You can get EMP blockers or Faraday bags. These are things that'll protect from that. But remember, wire cords, things like that that have electronics in them are going to be completely zapped. So you would need to put them inside the bag. But you know, something to keep in mind. People are like, well, you put your, you keep your phone and stuff in there. Other people aren't going to have phones unless they have a landline phone and that phone isn't plugged in during the actual attack. That might potentially work. I'm not even 100% sure of that. Your internet would be down anyway if you have your laptop in there, but there's other things that you might want to put inside of a bag, such as solar panels that have cords if you have a solar generator and things like that. So it's important to prep, and it's also important to have food on hand. These are all things that you can research on your own. You might say, well, why don't you do it for me? Because I don't want to tell you to go buy something if you can't afford it, and I don't want to recommend a company that I don't know anything about. I know I have my own supplies, but I haven't tried them out yet. You know, I'm not dying. I'm not waking up going, I really want to eat my supply food, right? I mean, you pay for it so that you have it on hand for the event of a type of attack. Now, I don't want anyone out there to panic. I just want you to be prepped. There's a reason that they've been cracking jokes for centuries about tinfoil hat wearers, because tinfoil is something that actually could fight off an EMP attack. So if you had a room that was covered in tinfoil and you had your electronics in it, that might work. Now, I'm not telling you to wrap your house in it. You might want to wrap some of your electronics in it. I don't know if it'll fully get the job done. Those are things that you have to research on your own. But at least you'll be able to tell the difference between the two. And if you see the power goes out and your cell phone and things like that are on the fritz, they might not completely go at first, but eventually the screen might just go completely off. Then you would know it's an EMP versus a grid attack. Okay? The difference between the two is an EMP is going to be a while before the grid comes back on. So that's when you want to start getting into your supply chain. Start, you should always have water on hand. I'll tell you that much. I would definitely, if you don't have water on hand, sometime this weekend, I would get water, or next week. You should just always have water, no matter what situation. Now, another thing also to keep in mind is all of the mind control programming with zombie apocalypses, right? I know we all look at it and we say, zombie apocalypse, we're living in it, right? I have t-shirts of the zombie apocalypse and all these morons that are wearing masks and things like that. Well, this ties in a big way because an EMP is an electromagnetic pulse. So it's electromagnetic disturbance. It's a burst of magnetic energy that would shut off electronics and everything else and, pretty much cause them to completely either burn out completely or not be usable until everything was fixed and came back. But what I'm getting at here is that there's certain people who have made themselves awfully electromagnetic, if you know what I mean. We've been showing people shoving magnets on their bodies and things like that for a couple years now, at least well over a year since they started doing it. And of course, we've been called insane. Just imagine how an EMP weapon being used would affect those people who have something inside of them. Now, it might either knock them out completely or it might turn them rabid. I don't know. I'm not, a lot of us who know about EMP attacks aren't really able to run tests with it as far as, being inside somebody's body and what it might do to them. But that Big Brother has, that our government has. So if you're somebody listening to this and you're not aware of what I'm talking about, maybe somebody shared this video with you, okay? Watch my videos on graphene, the black goo, and the mind control programming behind it, and understand nanos. I can't even say the word on here. You automatically get thrown, get a strike and the video removed, okay? And putting that inside your body makes your body, well, let's just call it electromagnetic. So imagine if an EMP disturbance occurred, what it could possibly do to somebody who is amped up their body's electromagnetic field by being stupid. And, these people who are like, call us all crazy conspiracy theorists are going to become rabid. if they don't croak on the spot. Of course, they can't come out and blame. When everything comes back on, they won't be able to, the magic potion or anything like that. Of course not. It'll just be, Russia. The people will be so worn down. They'll probably be starving to death. There's so many things that can come from something like this, but this would not be something that's for the rest of our lives. I want to make sure you know that, because remember, they need to get everybody reset and then connected with technology. This would give them a way to get people to get technology inside of them. Unhackable technology, they'll call it, even though you will be getting hacked by your own government because you will be putting this technology inside of you. Something like this has to occur, not just for the reset, to get everybody's bank accounts to zero, to get everybody on an even playing field, but also to usher in this new type of technology so that people who are fearful of that ever happening again would feel comfortable, because all it takes is the television to tell them that by putting something inside their body, they're now unhackable, they're now connected to their technology, their bank accounts are in them. Remember, I've been talking about that with blockchain, okay, and the experiments done on rats, and why Stephen Colbert and the mainstream media actually talked about that to deflect from it, because they always will deflect the truth and make light of it, and that's what tinfoil hat's about. That's what it comes from. If you don't know what it stems from, you just hear tinfoil hat wearer. Sometimes they put it in movies about aliens and things like that because they want to divert what people are talking about. They admit that EMP weapons are real and a real threat. They admit that our power grid is completely unprotected. Yet these people think that we're all nut conspiracy theorists, and when all this stuff goes down, they're still not going to listen because they're prideful. And they're going to think it was still Russia because they don't want to give in and say, oh, it's our own government. And then they're going to just think, whatever, these people are still crazy, right-wing lunatics. And remember, all the stuff they're doing now with division and all that, it's all going to factor in when crap hits the fan. Because people are already growing cold, right? And we're looking at people who hate one another. They don't like the sight of each other. They're fighting amongst each other. Just imagine when people are in need of food and you think that that's bad enough, food and water. Think about these people who are so dependent on technology that they can't live without their phones for 5 seconds. They're going to go AWOL, like I always say. They're going to put their heads through the walls. They're going to be running amok. That's what the zombie apocalypse programming is about. Okay, not just about how we live amongst these zombies, but they're literally going to turn into zombies. And those shows like The Walking Dead, now I've never watched the show before, but I've seen like Night of the Living Dead and things like that. You can expect a time period like that to occur. I don't care if anyone talks about this and says it's a crazy conspiracy. It's not. It's not. Let's look at the points that we've heard here, especially if you're somebody who doesn't know what I'm talking about. We have the president talking about an attack, a cyber attack. You automatically probably think, well, that means that I'm not going to be able to go on the internet. And oh my goodness, my bank account might get affected. Well, the simple fact is they're telling you it's going to happen. Then you have CNN telling you that the grid is not CNN, it's 60 Minutes telling you that the grid is not protected just about a month ago, when we've all known for a long time that our our power grid is not protected. Google it for yourself and look it up and do research. It's vulnerable for a reason. It's vulnerable to be attacked. It's sitting there to be attacked. Because then they could say, oops, we didn't do enough to protect it. The government didn't, right? So as Babylon crumbles here as well, the government will take the hit on purpose. Because look at the people who are in power. You don't think that they're acting like this on purpose, incompetently, where everyone's going nuts, going, look at these people. They're doing it on purpose. And everyone's going to go, oh man, and we need a whole new government system and all this stuff with the left and the right and talking about issues that don't matter, right? We need to start fresh. And this is how you bring in a new world order. This is how you bring in globalism. You have to destroy our government. All the governments have to work as one. That's what globalism and a new world order is. This is the way to do it. You have to start by resetting everything, which is what they're openly talking about. So if you're not familiar with that, the Great Reset is the World Economic Forum's little baby pet that they've been nurturing, and now it's ready to go. That's what the outbreak was for. That's what this Russian thing is for. Everything is set for this to occur. We have people who are already electromagnetic. We have the potential of EMP attacks, and we have somebody to point a finger at. They don't want you to point a finger at your own government. And I guarantee you when this happens, nobody but us will. They will listen to whatever they hear and they will believe it's Russia. They'll be extra vulnerable, which will mentally make them listen to their government and want protection and help because they'll feel like they need it. Where people like us who already don't trust them will be already set up and protected on our own. Also keep in mind you need self-defense and protection because there's going to be rabid people. I'm not telling you how to go about that. That's up to you and how you run your